Is anyone else dancing during the breaks? I cannot help myself. Thank you, Jean. Okay, someone else. Well, welcome back, everyone. What a great first session to kick us off. I hope you are all feeling inspired to continuously innovate, and I won't be surprised if I run into some of you at RJ Grant sometime soon. We are very excited and passionate about our next panel on philanthropy and corporate social responsibility. Introducing the panel is Jessica A. Copenhaver, who is a director at Citi Private Bank. Citi is supporting this conference at the silver level, and we want to thank them for being such a champion in our family business community. Jessica?
Hi, thank you, Celine. Studies have shown that family-owned businesses are more socially responsible and more giving than other types of corporations. We know families work hard to build their businesses, but when they can, they often give back in significant ways. What drives families to give? How should we all give in a way that matters and has an impact? What lessons can family-owned businesses learn about giving back? To answer these questions, we've assembled a terrific panel of women leaders who are also using business as a force for good. Moderating the panel is Jean Santos from Business Consulting Resources, BCR. Jean leads Women Leaders in Family Enterprises, a nonprofit organization designed for women in family businesses. Our three panelists are Carol Choi, founder and president of the United Exchange Corporation, a company that specializes in sales, marketing, and distribution of consumer packaged goods in the US, Pacific Asia, and Latin American regions. Carol has devoted much of her time and effort to the field of education, including as a UC Irvine trustee and member of the UC Irvine School of Law Board of Advisors. Carol and her husband Eugene are recipients of UC Irvine's Extraordinarius Award, and Carol was recently named the 2021 Woman of Distinction by the City of Irvine. Lisette Gaviña Lopez comes from a long line of coffee growers and roasters. The Gaviña family has been in the coffee business for nearly 150 years, starting in Cuba, and today owns F. Gaviña and Sons, Inc., the nation's largest minority-owned family coffee roaster and a leading producer of high quality and great tasting coffee for more than 4 generations. Gaviña contributes to more than 200 educational and social services organizations every year in the US, as well as coffee farming regions. The company also donates coffee to missions and homeless shelters in local communities throughout the greater Los Angeles area. Maya Patel is executive chair of the Tarsadia Foundation, where she oversees the foundation's vision, programs, and partnerships in the philanthropic community. Under her leadership, Tarsadia has been devoted to improving people's lives through its investments in housing, medical care, and education, among others. Maya has spent the last 10 years building the family foundation to reflect the values and work ethic that were instilled in her as a child. Maya is an advocate for women's rights and is passionate about using her platform to represent diverse and often untold perspectives of women of color. Thanks for letting me participate, and ladies, please take it away.
Wow, thank you so much, Jessica. I have to say that I am humbled and honored to be in the midst of these giants, these amazing women who have done so much, not only for their families and businesses, but they've paid it forward in so many visible and impactful ways that, frankly, I'm very excited to be with all of you this morning, and thank you for sharing your time with us. And thanks too for those who are joining us and listening to this conversation. I'm looking forward to learning more about how to pay it forward, as I said. And, I had the pleasure of sending my children to a pretty incredible school in Hawaii. Those of you from Hawaii who are with us, my children went to Punahou. And that was one of the things that I was most impressed with about that school, that they really instilled a desire and a passion in my children for making sure that they paid it forward. So I'm grateful for that. But ladies, let's just dive in so that you can teach all of us more about how we can pay it forward. So the first thing I'm interested in knowing, what does it mean to you to have this notion of social responsibility? How does that resonate with you, and what does it mean for you? Carol, you want to kick us off with that?
Yes, thank you, Jean, and thank you, everyone. I think our responsibility is great. We owe it to ourselves and our children's children to do what is long-lasting and beneficial to our collective wealth, health, and happiness. There is more than one way for you and I to achieve this from each corner of the world. Again, it comes back to the power of choice that we all have. I personally chose education as the medium to serve society and improve the future of humankind. Education can be, for society, the goose that lays the golden egg. It's cliche, but it's so true. It can keep giving. Once you teach a man how to fish, he'll never go hungry. Social responsibility means coming together, building stronger communities, giving of our time, energy, and ideas to help influence the positive changes that we can make on this world today.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Carol. I agree with you on the notion of education being the starting point for all of us. Maya and Lisette, do you want to add some words of wisdom to that, please? Go ahead, Lisette.
Yes. So good morning, everyone. Yeah, so social responsibility is something that my family holds near and dear to our hearts. And my family's been in the coffee business for over 150 years. And we actually started as coffee growers. So we have a strong connection to the land as, having been farmers ourselves. And so for us, social responsibility, the way we really focus on it is focusing on in all of the communities where we do business, where we play and where we work. So it all starts in the fields, in the coffee fields, going all the way through the supply chain, all the way to the consumer. And we try to make a positive impact, whether it's social, economic, and environmental impact where we can.
Mm-hmm. Maya, how about it? Want to add to that?
I think for us, it's been, I was born in Africa. And so coming from there and, my parents were from India. So every region we've been in throughout our lives, we've always felt like we were responsible and we needed to, pay it forward at any moment in time. It just depended on what level it was at. It was probably at a much smaller level at that time, but there were always elements that needed to happen. And, I think that's how we kind of see the social responsibilities. Wherever you are, whenever you are, you need to do your part.
I'm going to throw this out to the three of you. We haven't talked about this, but what do you think about our world today in terms of this notion of social responsibility? I mean, if you think about everything that's going on in the world, there's a lot of challenge and problem and stress that we're all dealing with on a global level. Do you think we can ever raise the social responsibility consciousness on a global level? And what is it going to take for us to attempt to do that as a society? Any thoughts on that?
I think for us, we started with our children at a young age, and I feel like they're our beacons. You look upon them to take that torch and move forward, and instilling some of those values from a young age, I think was going to help. And hopefully, they're much stronger than we are. I always feel, my kids are much smarter, stronger, all of that, all the above. Yes. And I feel like that responsibility they will take, and they are looking forward to a better world, so there's hope.
So the rising gens are our hope, Maya, right? Exactly. Carol, Lisette, any thoughts about that kind of global picture of raising the consciousness of social responsibility?
I think it's whether it's social responsibility. I think it's basically that if every human being was to be a good corporate citizen, good citizens, just in our community or in family, I think that would be a really big milestone.
Yeah. Lisette, you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think it all comes down to education, like the better informed we are about, our impact today on the future, the better we can, adapt, change our behavior today to have a more positive future. So I think education is key.
Right. Great. Thank you. All right. So what motivated all of you? I mean, all three of you are incredibly active. You're incredibly involved. I mean, Lisette, you have 200 plus things going on, or you've impacted along the way. It's remarkable to see the time and energy and talents and treasures that all of you put into your philanthropic ventures. What kicked it off for you? What was that moment in time when you said, I have to do this? This is part of who I am, and I have to do this for my family and for my company and for myself. Maya, maybe you can start and then we'll go from there.
Sure. I think, I mean, it goes back to my parents and just, the beginning of our life and all the transitional places that we were at, that just seeing them as immigrants, how they leaned on people, and how whenever people did come into the country, they were able to support them as well. So that was the beginning of, from a young age, me seeing that happening. And, as my children got older, the role just seemed like that was a perfect place for me to step into, and it felt like the right place for me. And I just, I love what I do. And I think my parents also appreciate that they get a little piece of me, a little part of me, that I can spend time with them. And that's been my biggest, and I get to represent the family in a different way. Most of them can't get on panels, can't get everywhere, but at least there's a voice that's a continual voice that kind of runs through our family that I can share with everybody.
Beautiful. Carol, you want to jump in?
For me, I think it's the upbringing and it's the family values and my parents teaching me. My mom is a nurse, and she has always this Nightingale heart. Basically, you have to help as soon as it's not later, but it's now, it's present. And I think it's the upbringing, and I think that tradition lies with our family and our kids. And it's just, doing rather than asking people what to do. And I think
I love that. Yeah,
yes,
I love that. Love that notion. Yeah. Lisette?
I agree with that. Being a Catholic family, it's all about giving back and taking care of your community and your neighbor.
Yes.
And so that's definitely something that's very, deeply instilled in us as in our family. And we've always supported our community any way that we could have. And as we've grown, we've formalized it more, I think, but it's always been a part of us and a part of our company.
Right. That's great. So your families have it. You've been exposed to the notion of paying it forward in your lives. You're all parts of companies, and you have people that you impact, organizational structures. So how do you promote and encourage the idea of social responsibilities within your companies? How do you inspire the people who work for your organizations to become part of a social responsibility movement? Lisette, maybe you can start us off on that.
I'd love to. So as I mentioned, this is giving back has always been a part of just who we are as a family and as a business, but we actually formalized our program about 10 years ago. Now we were doing so many things in so many different areas that we really took the effort to just bring it all together and centralize all of our efforts under one program, which is called our Direct Impact Initiative. And so we really leverage our Direct Impact Initiative to educate our employees, to educate our customers, the community, the consumer about all of the great work that we're doing to give back to our communities. And again, it goes from the communities that we're working with, in the coffee growing regions, whether it's everything that we're doing here in our company to be a good, local citizen. We operate a zero waste to landfill facility here in Los Angeles, which we're very proud of, and also just giving back and helping to support the communities where our consumers buy and enjoy our coffees.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Carol, Maya, please add.
With our company, because we're in distribution with health and beauty aid items and also food, we're partnered with LA Shelter, and we do a lot of donation through LA Shelter, especially during the pandemic. It was very difficult for lots of people with homeless people. And so we wanted to provide them the first aid necessary things that they needed as well too. So we have a lot of our employees that, makes up the list and knows, who to contact. So we've been working with LA Shelters. We've been working with different missionaries, because those are all the people that needs these goods that we could go ahead and provide. But the awareness that the company is doing among all the employees and all the friends that we have is phenomenal, because they're part of it. Awesome. We just can't do it on our own, but we're a whole holistic team.
Yes, that's great. How about you, Maya? Anything to add?
Yeah, I think we also were in the hospitality business. And so,
Yes.
you know, we had to get down to the roots and make sure that all our staff, employees, our whole team is supported. And during the pandemic, there was just so many things happening. And even throughout the years, employment and, you know, health benefits and so many things that they don't get to have. And so there's different ways that we do help in those ways, but getting more of the senior teams or, you know, some of the corporate to be involved in is usually by volunteer activities, or, you know, we try to engage them in whatever learnings that we find. We invite them to our offices. We get grant partners to come to us and speak about what they do. And so that way it becomes more of a relationship that if they feel that they want to help out or volunteer or become a CASA or whatever it is, they'll go ahead and do something like that. Yeah.
That's great. There's so much that can come in human bonding and team esprit de corps from getting involved in these kinds of projects that all of you are involved in. Even in our own little company in Hawaii, we've done some really fun things with charitable contributions and breast cancer runs and things like that. And we've just had such a fantastic time doing these things together, and talk about the feel good moments, right, for yourself and for your team. So thank you. I get it. I mean, we heard RJ and Let Us Entertain You just a little bit ago about how you make choices, or how he makes choices with brands and concepts and food and beverage. And it's pretty cool. You all face the same thing in terms of where do you put your philanthropic and your social responsibility time and effort. We can't do it all. There's so many things out there. I mean, personally, there's so many things I would love to get involved in. Women leaders in family enterprises is certainly one of the passions that I put the stake in the ground and said, yes, I am going to do that. There are several others, but it's a tough choice. It's a tough decision to make. How do you narrow it down and say, it's okay, it's going to be this, this, and this, and that's it. And I'm really going to focus and go deep with those things. How do you come to that choice and that decision? Lisette, if you could start us off on that.
Yeah, so under our direct impact initiative, we've identified 4 different pillars that we focus on, and that really helps us at least have focus in certain areas. So there's the dedication to farmers, where we focus on the coffee growing communities, investing back into the coffee growing communities that we source our coffees from. There's your environmental sustainability, which is all about us being a good citizen here, reducing our carbon footprint, being zero waste to landfill. Then there's also the social stewardship pillar, which is about giving back to the community, and also buying certified coffees. And that's, that's what really helps to guide our efforts and where we put our spending. The other thing too is whenever we invest in any project, we're really concerned about the sustainability of the project. So we want to make sure it's successful, and that whatever community we go into and help support, that the community really embraces the project. And so that's another key deciding factor for us too.
Yeah, that's great. I love all the sustainability efforts. They're so inspiring and so cool. So cool, particularly the reach that y'all are having back to the farmers. That's fantastic. Carol sorry, go ahead, Lisette.
No, I was just going to say, because, coffee's not sustainable without the coffee farmer.
Absolutely.
So, yeah,
absolutely. And we know how much we depend on that caffeine. Carol or Maya, anything to add to that?
I think with us, I think it's just, because we are in the distribution of HBAs, we look really into our ingredients, like in our K-beauty products, we'll look for clean ingredients, where the sustainability is very, very critical. And since we're not manufacturing and we're more of a distribution, and so we look towards our manufacturers, and when we select our manufacturers, there's a lot of things that we look to go ahead and work with.
Yeah, that's awesome. Fantastic. That's something that I think more folks in your kind of could pick up on from you, in terms of how you select your manufacturers and what are their practices and processes. It's very important. Maya, anything to add?
I think, like Lisette said, we have our pillars as well. And it's just been that's our golden question. Are we ever going to focus? Are we ever going to get to a place that we can say, okay, this is what we're going to do? With over 50 members of the family involved in the whole decision-making process and the whole, like everything, it's been a journey. It's been really difficult for us to say, okay, this is it. But education has been the one that keeps rising to the top, economic development, getting microloans, things that we can do that, can really change a person's life and make that transition to have opportunities to open up for them is what we try to look at, human potential. We try to look at all those things, but it's very difficult. It's really actually quite hard to focus. I would say.
I can imagine. I guess it's a great problem to have. In some ways, but certainly the larger the family, the more difficult arriving at the consensus of where do we put the energy. I have to address this question that popped up in the chat. I think you're seeing it. It's an interesting one, and I'd love for all of you to please address it. When did you decide to begin your philanthropic endeavors? After success or before success? Interesting point of view. We're going to dig into that a little bit more about the notion of how do we engage, but whoever wants to start with that one, please go ahead.
I'll jump in.
Okay.
So, I think because we create a product that a lot of people like,
love,
so
Lisette, they love it.
They love it. A lot of people love coffee, and it's something, it's anybody can enjoy a great cup of coffee, right? Or would like to enjoy a great cup of coffee. So I think a lot of our efforts are, donating coffee in kind to whether it's a shelter or fundraisers for different charities. And so that's something we've just always have done. If there's something going on, at the church or at the kids' schools, we'd always give back, even if the company wasn't, in a position of success. And I have to believe even in the early years, that was the case, just always supporting the communities that support us, and together we thrive.
Yeah. So it wasn't an issue of what came first, success or philanthropy. It was just baked into everything you did.
Exactly. And, but we did formalize things, I think, once our company was of a certain size, just to be able to have focus with our efforts, to be able to communicate and educate about our efforts. It's very difficult when you're doing all these things, it's very difficult to relay the message, to your partners, to consumers. So the tighter you are with your story and your message, then the more successful it'll be in getting to that consumer.
Yeah, that's great. I get it. Carol, how about you?
So I think I'm called like the founding generation because I founded the company. So we don't have all this long-term legacy, but I think it's always, it's just sharing. It's just sharing what you have. And that could be through your community, your school, your, church. I think that was it was never a question because I think we all agree by paying forward, the joys that we get out of it's so much more greater than, what we give. So I think it's always been, whether it's paying forward, before your success or after success was never a question that I know I've never had. It was always just sharing what we have with everyone that we could.
That's great. And of course, as a Gen 1 and founder, you have the pleasure of perpetuating that notion to rising gens that will come after you, which is very, very cool. Maya, please weigh in on this.
I think it was my parents, they started the companies way back when, and that was they were doing their check writing one by one. It was not organized, and it was just like, okay, well, they wanted to support this and this, and we were involved in those, but we didn't really know much about it until we formalized our foundation as well 10 years ago. And that's when we kind of felt like, okay, now we really need to get serious, figure out what our mission is, what's the vision, what are the pillars going to look like? Who's going to be on the board? Is it advisory board? Is it this board? All of those things that needed to get put into place. It actually helped us. Kept us organized, but it did come before. It wasn't something that we were not doing before. But I think the success helped us to grow
to expand and even make more of an impact. So really all three of you have the same sort of notion that it's just baked in to who you are and what you do. And as success became more and more of a reality, it just allowed you to expand the social responsibility and the philanthropic programs even more. It gave you that much more fuel to make even more of a difference. It's very cool. And on that notion, as we think about expansion, right? We're all parts of families and business. That's why we're all here today. We have that common denominator of being engaged in some way with the family and business. Carol's Gen 1. Lisette, which generation are you again? 4? Yeah, Gen 4. Very cool. And Maya, you're Gen?
I'm 2.
2. Okay, so we've all got rising gens coming up behind us. How are you going to plant the seeds with these rising gens and other family members to get as passionate as you are about what you're leading in social responsibility and philanthropy? And I think we're going to have Maya start us off on that one.
Sure. I think it started, like I mentioned early on, when we, 10 years ago, when we started to formalize, we decided to bring our kids along as well. It wasn't just the adults, it was even the 7-year-old and the 9-year-old and 10-year-old,
Nice.
10-year-old. So the whole group, 20 adults, 20 children, and we all decided to do this together. And that was, I think, the most difficult and impressive move to make. You know, I think it really helped us to say, look, we're going to do this. Let's go big. We've got each other to support each other, and we can make this happen. And it was a beautiful learning experience for each one of us, you know, and we spent a lot of time on, you know, learning the ropes about grant making. But we also took a lot of trips, and we went to international countries where we were able to explore different, you know, different cultures and learn about them, and actually volunteer and work there and get the whole group to come together. So most of our trips have been involved. I think we've had 7 where all of us went together, 50 plus people. It's been the most beautiful experience. I have to tell you, it's been really quite, and now our 9-year-old now is, I think, I don't know, 17, 18, something like that. And she's running her own backpack project. You know,
that is awesome.
Yeah, she's giving out 5,000 to 15,000 backpacks a year annually now. And it's it's her baby. She wants to do this, you know. And so those are the seeds that we see the success of. That's what really made us want to do this. And it's been a beautiful time for us to, and for my parents to be here. That, you know, I think that's been the most valuable aspect of it. But then we also, you know, we make it so that it's up to them whenever they want to get involved. Our doors are open whenever they want to come. If they have somebody that they want to support, okay, talk to us about it. What do we need to do? What would you like to do? How do you want to get involved? You know, and so it's open. It's not like these are our pillars and that's it. We have a discretionary bucket. You can come in, you can use some of that, you know, so we keep it very, very open. That's how we do it.
So I'm curious with the young ones, the 9-year-olds at the time, how did you present it in a way that they could really get it, you know, and that they could really say, yeah, I want to do this? How did that work for you?
So we created like a mentor, you know, like we'd have an older sibling or a cousin or somebody that would be with them while they're going through the meeting, you know, and we actually went to a big board meeting and we'd invite them all. They'd sit around the boardroom. And, you know, the whole thing. And I think that was really impactful for them. And so they had a partner, they were able to discuss it. And then we kind of broke up those, their advisory board into 3 pillars, and you can decide which one you guys want to work on. They had an experience of, okay, there's a 5,000 grant or whatever the amount was, they could do whatever they wanted to do and make that decision together. So that learning process, that really helped a lot.
Yeah, that's cool. Carol and Lisette, please add some thoughts about how you want to get the family involved.
I mean, Lisette, I think she has 4 generations, and this is me first finding this generation. But Maya, thank you. We heard about your daughter. She goes to Sage Hill, and that's where our kids went to as well too. And we read about it. So congratulations on all the differences that she's making everywhere. It's just wonderful.
Indeed, bravo.
Yeah, role modeling. You know, I think with us, we do have our own family foundation as well too. You know, with our kids, I think they know exactly where their parents are really relying on, which is the education, which it makes really differences. So there's a lot of things that we're learning as well as, because as a founding generation to do this, but it is very important to get your kids involved. I have two kids in different areas, but hopefully maybe one will come back and see, but haven't thought that far, but it is important we do talk to our kids about the importance of paying forward. Is definitely an impact that we all have to do. With starting young, I think.
Yeah. I think if it's part of family values and it's actively addressed and actively communicated, and they see their parents, and it becomes sort of a natural movement for the kids. Lisette, you're generation 4, so you've learned from many who have come before you, but what about those that are coming after you? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's the same thing that Maya and Carol have already said. It's about just getting the next generation involved. We often show up, as a family. It's hard to get everyone in one place, but many of us show up, like, for example, we do the Susan G. Komen Race for the Cure and have won the trophy many times for the largest group of employees and family. And you'll see many of our family members, doing that walk together. My aunt is a 2-time breast cancer survivor. So we show up in her support and of course of the organization too. And many of, like, myself and my cousins, we've also gone to the producing countries for the inauguration of different projects that we have sponsored in Nicaragua. I went with my cousins and my uncle. I went to one in Mexico with my dad, which was really special for both of us to do that together. And our most recent project, we built helped to build a mill in the Antioquia region of Colombia. Wow. So I know several of my family members went to that as well. And so it's not just putting your name on it, but actually showing up and showing your support, and that you really care and you are involved and want to support the community.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I like the comment. It's not just putting your name on it. That's the easy out, I guess, and thank you for putting the energy and sweat into it. It's very cool. So, again, looking at all of the projects that you have been engaged in, and all of you have been engaged in a lot of different things, can you pick one that was maybe the most rewarding for you, that really hit you in a special way? And why would you say that one has been the most rewarding one for you? Carol, let's start with you on that.
And this is going to be something that's fun, but which will impact, it's a project that I did with our company. As you know, I'm Korean American, and this is the news. Koreans actually consume the most ramen in the world.
Wow.
And the consumption rate is the highest. And RJ was talking about Japan, but no. And so I'm just going to kind of show you the thing. What we did is what I thought was very fun, and I think it does impact not just in many ways, is that we went out and reached out to, and I'm going to show you background with 2 items, which is the tapatio ramen and also the the huifang sriracha ramen. So we've had ramen for a long time, and what we did is we reached out to the Saavedros family and the Tran David Tran at the huifang sriracha, and what we did is we worked together and we joined our forces, and we came up with the ramen for it's for everybody. But what this did was, in college, we donated a tremendous amount to UC Irvine and to other universities, because in College Town, I know it's a lot of sodium, but it's something that they do enjoy.
They do it. We can't stop it. They're going to do it.
And I ate a lot of ramen in college.
We've all been there, right?
And part of it is that we do impact much biggerly with the ramen, being able to go to impact socially and to donate to the universities as well, which that they could go ahead and relate to. So we've done this, and it's been about 3 years, and we're having fun because it's basically mixing 2 different, 2 different flavors and 2 different cultures uniting. And that's what was one of the fun, most recent project that I really had enjoyed.
That's cool. Yeah, no, that's very cool. I love it. Cultural blending. Very, very cool. Very cool.
I was able to do that, and I think I'm grateful for that, because maybe, no one has done it yet. And, going out and talking to the Saavedaros family or the Trent family wasn't very easy to go ahead and convince them. And then going out to Korea to find a manufacturer to manufacture. There's a whole lot of process that we had to do, because like I said, we don't have a manufacturing plant to do all of this. So that was all the walk that we had to do to get this out on the market share.
Sure. But knowing what I know about you, Carol, you're not going to let anything get in your way. Once you make a decision, you're going to go.
Well, this is it's for everybody. It's
that's right.
It's great. And that's impacting the people. So
that's fantastic. It's very cool. Lisette, what about you? Which one sticks out for you?
I think the one of the most important projects that we've done and that we're the most proud of as a family is helping to build this wet mill in Colombia I mentioned a little bit before.
Yes.
So this was a project that was done in collaboration with one of our largest customers, McDonald's, and also a few other roaster partners. And it was initiated through them in the end, and it ended up being our project, which is exciting.
Okay.
But it's amazing, because basically what we did is we built this wet mill in collaboration with the co-op. Again, in order for a project to be sustainable, somebody needs to own it at the growing, in the community.
Yeah.
And so this project helped, basically helped to improve, make the day shorter during the harvest for farmers. It helped to produce clean water. When you're processing coffee after it's been picked, there's a lot of water that's used. So many times that water is not treated and it goes back into the groundwater. So this mill had has a water treatment facility and actually puts the water back in cleaner than it went into the system.
Wow.
So, and the overall impact was that the mill helped to improve the quality of life of over 600 farming families, and also helping them improve the quality of their coffee. So
fabulous. And is it called a wet mill because what it does with the water in terms of cleaning it and bringing it back in a better state?
It has to do with the way that you process the coffee. So you can process the coffee with a dry or a wet method. So this is a wet method of processing the coffee.
I see. Cool. Very cool. Maya, what about you? Which one?
Hard one. That's so hard.
Hard one.
I think there's been such phenomenal, so many beautiful projects that have come about, from our time of inception. But I think one of the things with the education piece is my dad's, goal to get a university opened up in a rural part of the country where he grew up, and that was really, I think, the most beautiful thing to see, where there's, it started with 2,000 students. There's over 12,000 students there now. And it's wonderful to see those students that come from the villages that my dad and mom came from. And now they're getting their master's degrees here and working in some of our companies, so the whole circle. I think that is probably the most amazing and beautiful thing for us to see, that it is working, and, there is success, and education is such a big tool and key part of everybody's life.
That's fantastic. Remind us where the university
so we're
is.
from Gujarat, the state of Gujarat in India, and it's near Navsari, which is a small suburb town that we grew up in. So
and it's in the American system, kindergarten through high school?
No. It's a
Tell us more.
University.
It's a university.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
Amazing. So
very amazing. Very amazing.
Many more, but I think just everybody's stories are beautiful. There's just like you said, Jean, it doesn't take much. If you can just, even one person is enough. It's not about the numbers. About
Yes. So there's an interesting question that came in that I think now is a good time to respond to. And the question is, can each of you provide input on your global philanthropic endeavors? That's a big ask. Global philanthropic endeavors. Anybody want to kick that off with a response?
Well, I mean, you're right, Jean. That's quite a question there.
It's a big one.
But I do believe in the butterfly effect, or the ripple effect. We try to do, exactly. Try to do what you can where you are. And no matter what size you are, just at least try to do something. You know, we have a new initiative through our direct impact program, which is in partnership with TerraCycle, where we're actually making our K-Cup compatible and our Nespresso compatible capsules recyclable through TerraCycle.
Yay.
So, you know, it's a boutique program. The consumer, it's free for the consumer. They have to collect their pods, send them in for free. You know, is it going to solve the global, you know, K-Cup, you know, issue?
Right.
No. Or, you know,
it's a start.
But it's a start. And at least for those that really want to do it and care, you know, to you know, want to do their part, we're making it easy and free for them to do it.
Yeah, that's great. Maya, how about it? Global perspectives, global reach. Whew, wow.
I think in that regard, I think the collaborations that we formed over, you know, over the years with different families, different philanthropic platforms, even different nonprofits, that's been, I think, the best part of the whole journey. Is it's not, we can't do it on our own. This is too difficult. There's too much, right? So who's doing it the best? Who has the resources? Who has the skill set? Is there a good leader? Is there somebody there that can hold on to this? You know, and if you're working at that level, at the grassroots level, you're on the ground, you really need somebody that's passionate, that has the head and the heart, that can get these things done. It's not just about, you know, how much money you pour into it, but will this live, and can there be some systemic change that happens from it? So I think that global reach we don't take any, you know, responsibility for it. Everybody in it is, it's a group effort. It just has to be.
No, that's a great way to look at it, that if we all link arms and hearts, we can have a global reach.
Yes,
pretty nicely. Carol, what about you? Your perspectives on that?
I agree with Maya and Lisette. I mean, I think it's the start. That's the most important thing, and collaboration with other partners in the world. Like, you know, we do our big, you know, we bring in our products from all over the world, and partnering up with, you know, and having the common vision. And I think there's a lot of, you know, what we have to do as a social responsibility partner. I think it's all of us. I know one thing that we've been doing for a long time is building wells in Chad, Africa. And we've been doing that for over, I think we've built almost 300, you know, with partners from society. And I think those are all initiatives that we're all taking to have that clean water and having that sustainability. And next to the wells, you know, the kids come. So we're building schools so that they can, while the moms are, you know, pumping the water, that the kids can go and learn. And I think it's small. You can't do it all on your own. We all have to go ahead and appreciate everyone that's all being, you know, that's being impacted by everyone.
Carol, I'd say that qualifies as a beautiful global impact. All of you, global impact for sure. But that leads us kind of into a question that's been on my mind. I mean, sometimes when you look at the opportunities and the challenges that we're facing as a global community, right? It's kind of daunting when we look at all that's going on. I mean, just take the notion of environmental health and sustainability and how we're slowly but surely killing our beautiful planet. So how do you get started? I mean, you can easily become overwhelmed. Little old me looking at everything out there, it can go, oh my God, it's overwhelming. I don't even know where to start. So how do you think you can share your wisdom about where to start to really make a difference? And Lisette, let's start with you.
Well, I think, you know, as I said before, you know, just start small, you know, but pick something, you know, pick something too, right?
Right.
You know, when we started our projects in the producing countries, imagine like we don't have businesses. We don't have let's say an office or people, employees in the producing countries. Our headquarters, our offices here in Los Angeles.
Right.
And so when we started our projects in the producing countries, like there were all of these different options, and you could write a check, you can buy certified coffees, you know, but some of that is like, you don't really know what the impact is going to be.
Right. And
so what we did for the first projects is we partnered with an exporter partner in Nicaragua, and basically they put in a certain amount for every pound of coffee that we purchased from them, they would put in 2.5 cents, we would put in 2.5 cents,
Okay.
and that money would go into a fund and start raising funds to then put
Okay.
to fund projects back into the community. So it's not like we had to write this big check
Right,
out
right.
front. We just started kind of allocating funds, and then we would decide together how that money would be invested. They would provide auditing services so that we knew here were the results, here was the impact. And we knew that, they would partner with the local NGO also to help make sure that that project would be sustainable. So I would say that's a good place to start, is like either your vendors or even your customers, and just start, agree on what you want to do. And then maybe just start putting some funds aside and get started that way.
That's a great idea. I love it. I love it. Maya, what about you?
I think just, for us, it's always been about service. So how do we get more people to do more? And the volunteer activities that we try to find that, really, sometimes people show up to, sometimes we can't get everybody to come to, but it just depends on what touches you and what you want to do. One little thing will just ignite you to make a change, it's a first step, just take that first step. And it's, I don't think it is about the financial capital. It is about the human capital.
Great.
It's very important, to put yourself out there. It's that humanity piece, I think, is missing in our lives. And I think that's the one way to connect. When you walk by a homeless person, you just don't want to ignore them. How do we acknowledge that there's a person here, and so these are the little things that I think that as a person, you have to have intent and you have to have a desire to want to do something. And then you take the next step and you keep moving forward.
Yeah, it starts with a seed and it goes from there. Great. Carol, how about you?
So true, Maya. I mean, so true. So true. I think it's for us, I think it's like Lisette said, it's because we have a lot of partners from all over the world. I think sustainability, the climate change that's happening, I think we need to go ahead and make that difference. And I think it starts from being social responsible as the corporate, as our corporate. So we really look and work with our manufacturer when we're selecting the manufacturing, because it's very, very important. Like with all their, are they certified? Are they FDA approved? Are there quality, assurances, everything on the books and everything? So that's one of the things that I know we could do as being socially responsible and helping out people. That's what we do.
That's great. Yeah, I just resonate with that notion, Carol, of thinking about who we're all working with in our own organizations and just partnering with them and starting something. That seems to be the common denominator. Start something. It's not beyond our reach to do that. Question has been posed that I want to address to you. Many businesses historically view social and environmental responsibility efforts as if they compete with profit and profit margins. So it's like you can't have both. You can't invest in your social and environmentally responsible initiatives and have profit too. What are your thoughts and suggestions on how we can change that mindset and that way of thinking?
I'll take that one.
Okay.
So the way that we define sustainability is literally the intersection of those three things. There's the social, the economic, and the environmental. So like a Venn diagram.
Yep.
So if a project, supports all three, then it's sustainable. And the beauty of sustainability many times is these are cost-saving initiatives. So if you're using less electricity, less water, less natural gas, guess what? Your cost of doing business goes down.
Yes.
Right. So and you're being a good, you're reducing your carbon footprint. So that's really the definition of sustainability that we subscribe to and follow through in our program.
Beautiful. Yep. Agreed. Totally agreed. Carol.
We're in business, we're a for-profit business. We have to survive.
Absolutely.
And we're responsible to our 300 employees and their families too, so we do what we can within that Venn diagram.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Carol, what about you? Same philosophy?
It's very, very hard. And I think one of the other thing I do want to add is education. Educating your consumer is very, very important. Like in the ramen business that we just had, people are using the styrofoam for the microwaves. We don't do that anymore because it's really, it's very, very bad for them. So it's about educating, and it's like, it's a trade-off. Are we going to be able to, the profit margin is very important, but are we going to be able to go ahead and be able to sustain that and in change, give them something that's better for their health or for long run? It is about educating our consumer, in my opinion.
It is.
Too.
Yeah.
I think-
Maya, please
I think
go
for
ahead.
us, because we have varied businesses and different, pillars that we do support, it's also educating the executives and educating the teams, and how do we as a family business want to be, what's our cultural, component. There's so many social, cultural, environmental, how do we stand up? How are we going to behave? Who are we going to be? And I think
we're going to be.
Yeah. And I think that's where I think being from the foundation, we're able to bring up those conversations on these teams, and that really helps them broaden up their horizon. So that's how
I mean, after all, we're talking about legacies that our families leave, right? In many ways. And these legacies around social responsibility are way more impactful than around, with all due respect to all of us in our companies, the companies that we all run. Yeah. So who has had the most influence on you and your drive and desire to really make a difference? Who's that one person that sticks out in your mind as that's who helped me get to this? I think we want to start with Maya on that one.
I mean, it has to be my parents, that they've been, and my grandparents, I would say they're the ones that really instilled that from a young age. And I know I wouldn't be where I am or who I am today without them. And so I owe everything.
Fabulous. That's fabulous, Maya. Lisette, how about you?
It's the same for me.
Yes.
My parents, my grandparents, my aunts, my uncles, they've truly led, by example and taking care of each other, being a very close-knit family and community, always treating our employees as family, and, just doing good in the world.
It's fabulous. Fabulous. And Carol?
I think it's my parents. I think it's my mom. Without me, if they didn't come to America, I wouldn't be here. And the opportunity that they've given us is just beyond. So grateful.
Yes, we're all blessed, and we're all very grateful to those who came before us. There's no question about that. Well, I'm seeing all the comments in the chat about you three amazing and beautiful women in every way. And I have to spend a little time letting our audience get to know each of you just a little bit more, because I'm sure they haven't had a chance to read your bios in the conference booklet. So we're going to do a quick speed round, of some fun questions. The first one we'll start with is, what's your favorite book? Carol, go.
Tuesday with Morrie.
Okay. Maya.
Little Women.
Oh, I love it. Lisette.
The Power of Now from Eckhart Tolle.
Oh, yay, bravo. Love it. All right. Favorite movie? Maya, go.
Lion King.
Lion King. Cool. Lisette, go.
I'm a sucker for romantic movies, and it's still Pretty Women for me.
Oh,
Pretty Woman. Sorry, Pretty Woman.
Love it. Carol.
Crash Landing, K-drama.
Oh, I don't know that one. Okay. All right. One role model. Lisette first.
My mother.
Your mother. Beautiful. Carol.
My mom.
Your mom. Maya.
My father.
Oh, love you guys. All right. Favorite place in the world? Carol, go.
Home.
Home. Where's home? Where's home,
Oh,
Carol?
where's home? Irvine, where my family is.
Irvine. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Maya.
Bhutan.
Bhutan. Okay. Lisette.
Any place by the ocean, and preferably with warm water.
But then you have to come to Hawaii. It's settled. That's it.
You got it.
All right. Favorite family memory? Maya, please.
We took a trip to Africa, to Zambia, where I was born in 2017. And we all went back with my parents after 40 years. And it was the best trip. Yeah.
I love it. Lisette.
Same thing. It's not a specific vacation, but just vacationing with my family.
With the family.
We would, growing up, we would take family vacations, usually to Cancun, Mexico.
Nice.
Those are the best
nice.
times. Warm
Yeah,
water again.
Warm water. Yeah, warm water. And Carol.
Taking family vacations to
Yes.
Hawaii on an annual basis that we did. And then, milestones, birth, graduation, and wedding that we all go through. It's so special moments and that we all
Yes.
cherish.
Yes. Thank you, ladies, so much. It has been an honor and a privilege to moderate this conversation with all three of you. I am motivated, moved, and grateful for all that you do in your companies and in your families and communities and our world. Thank you so much. Thank you all for listening, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of our day together.
Thank you so much, Jean. Thank you for doing this.
Thanks. You're
Yes,
welcome.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
You're
Thank you, everyone,
welcome.
for listening.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone. I do see we have an attendee. We have Gigi raising her hand. Gigi, did you have a question for this fabulous panel? I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. Gigi, are you there with us? Okay, perhaps that was an accident. Nevertheless, thank you all so much for joining us. That was such an incredible and powerful panel discussion. I know I'm walking away feeling extremely inspired. Thank you, Jean, Carol, Maya, and Lisette for being role models for our entire community, your families, your businesses, and for future generations. I really think that we, with family businesses kind of paving the way, are changing the definition of what it means to be a successful business and what it means to be a part of your community. So thank you all. We are going to take a quick break and we'll be back at noon for our keynote speaker. So all of you can go pick up your Panda Express deliveries and we'll see you all back in this room in 10 minutes or so. Thanks all.